Toastmaster Prashant, opposite day. Opposite day, Toastmaster Prashant.
I can't take this anymore. I refuse to be this shy, introverted, and a stamping child. Ladies and gentlemen, I took a decision to challenge myself, to break free from these constraints of my comfort zone. I decided to have an opposite day. Believe it or not, I packed my bag, walked out of my house, took a rickshaw to the railway station, and asked, "Where is the next train going?" And they said, "Delhi." I took a general ticket and boarded an overnight train to Delhi. 16 hours of long journey. I reached Delhi in the morning. I had no plans. I didn't really know anybody there. That's it. Opposite day is in effect. I am going to do everything opposite of whatever I used to do. I reached Delhi and I thought of going to see Red Fort, Lal Killa. Instead of taking local transport, I decided to do hitchhiking, and a young man offered me a lift. Ladies and gentlemen, are you all in a relationship? How difficult is it to ask to your partner? I am wondering this because while I was on his bike, he asked me, "Are you interested in men?" And it was such a strange question, and I didn't realize. I wish I could have reacted better, but at that moment I panicked and said, "No, I don't." And I made him stop me somewhere and he dropped me somewhere. And later that, I was wondering that how difficult it must have been for him to ask me that question. It's not considered normal for people to speak affectionately to the people of their own sex. Anyways, something to think about, right? Anyways, back to where I was. I was at the middle of the nowhere. I walked up. It was 2 kilometers from there. I reached the Red Fort. Next to the Red Fort, there was one restaurant. I went to that restaurant, and instead of looking at the menu, this time, because I was doing an opposite day, this time I walked up straight up to somebody who looks like who had already finished his food, and went there and asked, "What is the best dish in this restaurant?" That guy looked at me weirdly and asked, "Who are you?" I said, "I am just a traveler. I am coming in this restaurant for the first time. What do you think is the best dish in this restaurant?" That guy again looked at me weirdly because of maybe Delhi guy, and asked and said, "Chole bhature." I said, "Thank you," smiled and thank you, and took another table and ordered chole bhature. And five minutes later, the same guy came to me and asked, "Are you sitting here alone?" I said, "Yes, I am sitting here alone. Please join me." Because on the normal day, I would have just said, "No, my friends are coming." But it was an opposite day. And the guy sat in front of me and started telling me about his life, about his business, about he has done this, he has done that. And I was honestly interested. Initially, I thought, what am I going to speak with him about? But his life was so interesting. He shared that he was doing some labor jobs when he was young. He was doing like washing dishes. He was into construction works, and all this he was saying. And just that he was leaving, I asked him out of curiosity, "Why were you telling me so many things about your life?" And he said, "Because he reminds me of my son. I haven't spoken to my son for many, many years. I don't think he even wants to speak with me anymore." And for a brief period, and he walked away, and for a brief period later, I realized that I didn't even call my dad and told, "I am going to somewhere." I didn't even told my parents that I am going to Delhi. I wanted to have an opposite day, but does that mean I don't have any responsibilities. Anyways, back to where I was. I left that place and I booked a hostel online for a stay. And I saw cycle rickshaw. Cycle rickshaw are very common in Delhi. I thought of taking the cycle rickshaw for a unique ride. And I saw a cycle rickshaw guy looking very unhappy with his job. On the normal day, I would have just ignored and sat behind and just looked here and there and scrolling my phone. But it was an opposite day. That day, I took my phone and opened my front camera and started recording and started singing जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना Sing with me जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना and left that guy with a smile. And I reached my hostel, and met some new friends over there as well. After 2-3 days of traveling, I came back home and reflected back on this opposite day. And I understood how love works different for different people. How difficult is it for someone? How to approach you and say hello to you? How difficult is it for someone to approach you and say something to you and you still have a conversation? How difficult is it to spread love and positivity and smiles? Ladies and gentlemen, I think we all should have this opposite day at least once in our lifetime. What do you think?